Hi everyone. So before starting, I invite you to scan this QR code. If you have any question, you can ask, of course, your question at the end of the presentation. We will do a small Q&A together. Maybe to start, I have a first question for you. Who think we're going to talk about the recruitment process during this talk? Maybe you can raise your hand if you think so. Okay, not a lot of hands, but yeah, you're right. We're not going to talk about the recruitment process in itself. We're going to talk about the empowerment of the consultant from day one until the end of the first year. And to do so, let me introduce you to Michelle. Michelle just started at Odoo last week. After a 2 months break, she went to Australia. She told us that was super nice, but yeah, never went there. So you can, of course, ask all your questions to Michelle at the end of this presentation with a beer tonight, of course. So Michelle loves pasta, hanging out with friends. She plays hockey during the weekend. Maybe a second question for you. Who think Michelle already have some work experience? Can again raise your hand if you think so? Okay, a bit more people. But no, she don't have any experience, and it's pretty common at Odoo. The vast majority of our consultants just graduated, and it's for them the first work experience. But yeah, so as it's a first experience, the empowerment of the consultant is really key at the beginning of their journey. But Germain, maybe you can explain us a bit. What does it mean, empowerment, concretely?
Indeed, Pierre, the goal is to empower Michel, but what does that mean? It's actually the process to encourage, support, and give someone freedom so he becomes better and more confident in the task he has to accomplish. This will lead into people taking ownership of tasks, of projects. It will also create an environment of growth, of innovation, and finally lead into a higher motivation and retention of the employee. So this is really key in the development of people at Odoo, because this will allow people to take initiative in the long run for the company. But let's get back to Michelle. So as Pierre said, she started last week at Odoo. What would her team look like? First, the team leader is obviously leading the team. By the way, I guess that's the right time to introduce ourselves, Pierre and myself. Germain, we are both working at Odoo since more than 4 years. We are actually team leaders since more than a year as well. Pierre is team leader in the service department, leading a team of consultants, and myself, team leader in the sales department. So about the team, we believe at Odoo that the right size of the team should be between 7 to 8 people, as this will allow the team leader to be close and involved with each team member. The team leader will actually be responsible of the long-term development of Michel, so he will manage resources, monitor progress, and now within the team, there will be 1 or 2 coaches. The coaches will be responsible of the short-term development, the first 4 months, so they will give the onboarding, they will develop the skills of Michel, and potentially unblock her from any situation she might face.
Yeah, so for this presentation, we will divide the first year of the journey of the consultant between 3 different steps. The first step is the fast learning. Why? Because of course it's a really intensive learning period for the consultant. And as Germain said, the consultant will be reviewed and supervised by the coach during this period. But let us know, Germain, how does Michelle feel at the moment?
Well, it's time to dive for Michelle. She's ready, she's enthusiastic, she looks forward to kick off things. So we will basically get her in the sea directly, even though she can't swim yet, but we'll provide her with armbands and a lifeguard around. So in other words, we will push her to assign her responsibilities from day one, but the coach will be around. So actually, the goal is really to get her out of her comfort zone, so she learns fast. So she will start with 1 project and a billable rate target of about 10%. However, those numbers will really grow over time during the first 4 months. But actually, Pierre, what do we expect from Michel during this period in terms of skills?
We think the onboarding should be a relaxed and easygoing period. No, not really. At least not at Odoo. During the 2 first weeks, it will be super intense for the consultant, here for Michel, because we will give a lot of Q&A session, like hands-on exercise, and a lot of video, e-learning video to watch. So yeah, here the focus is on the Odoo knowledge and the methodology, of course. After that, we will really focus on the responsibility and the application. After the 2 weeks, she will receive a first project, and every week she will receive more projects, just more and more. Of course, we want her to be like really take the ownership of her project. That's the priority for us, to become autonomous, and so being hands-on and just managing her project. We also want her to be a team player by asking all the knowledge we have with the more than 200 consultants in the team, because we think that no one can succeed in isolation. We think that collaboration is really the backbone of the success. But what does it mean concretely for us as manager or team leader? So let me introduce you to the first meeting between the customer and the consultant. That's the kickoff. So here you can see on the slide, it's KO. So that's the first meeting in which we will align on methodology, align on the strategy for the implementation, and also, of course, deep dive into the business process of the customer. So here for us, what's really important is the preparation of this meeting. And we will ask our consultants to use all the tools they have on hand, for example, using AI, like ChatGPT, to take more information they can to come prepared to this meeting about the industry, the market, and other. So we'll organize a small meeting with the consultant to be sure that they prepare well, at least at the beginning we'll do that. After, what we'll do also is shadowing the kickoff, all directly by being in the meeting, just giving a safety net for the consultant, or rewatching the meeting after. So it depends on the situation. But the goal here is to being able to give a proper feedback at the end. And that's the peer review. So we will, of course, review how they pitch the methodology, but the priority for us is really challenge the consultant on their analysis about the customer needs and customer processes. So that's really key here. And to do that, we organize a meeting with the consultant to play the role kind of the consultant and just challenge a lot, asking a lot of questions to the consultant to be sure that they well understood what are the needs of the customer. That's the key here. Of course, we'll also follow up on communication by reviewing if they define well the objective and communicate it well through emails, for example, with the customer.
Indeed, Pierre, thanks for sharing. We believe there will be some responsibilities and challenges for manager, for team leader during that period that are very important. The first thing, it is very crucial during this period to build trust between Michel, the coworker, and the hierarchy. This is really the responsibility of the manager, the team leader, to make the integration process as smooth as possible. Actually, this will have an impact on the happiness of the team, but also on the performance. The second thing, we need to make sure during this period that basics are understood. Actually, it's very important to take the right habit from the beginning with a small workload before we move on with a bigger workload to be able to keep up with the later on. And the third thing, we need to clarify any expectation. Actually, there is nothing worse for a newcomer not to know exactly what you expect from us. So Michel has to have a vision for the role, which means that she has to be aware of the steps she has to take. She has to be aware of the skills she will need in the future as well.
Okay, so let's switch from step 1 to step 2. Here is the emancipation. Why? Because we want the consultant to be really more autonomous. And that's the goal here, from switching from the close follow-up from the coach to more autonomous way, like a high supervision by the team leader. But concretely, Germain, how Michel does it feel at the moment?
Well, thanks for asking, Pierre, but bad news. Oh la la, she's about to drown. She's totally out of her comfort zone. It's a bit of a struggle. She's also not followed by the coach anymore. So to give some concrete numbers, she managed 8 projects in parallel at the time. The target billable rate increased to 80%. So as I said, it's a struggle. However, it is now her responsibility to be proactive and to ask for help, ask for support when that makes sense. But once again, what do we expect exactly from Michelle Pierre? What are the skills she will need during this time?
Yeah, so here we will really switch from the functional knowledge, so understanding of Odoo, how it's working, the solution in itself, to really the business knowledge. So deep diving into the customer's flow and the understanding of their business in their environment. So here the key is the why tool, or the 5 whys. You just keep pushing, asking why, and why, until you reach the root cause and the real needs of the customer. That's really the idea here. More than that, we will also focus on the project management through the planning and budget, because we think it's really key to having like an updated planning and budget and being able to react at when we face any risk. So for us as team leaders, we will of course take the first picture of the planning and the budget, defining it with the consultant, being sure that everything is well set up, but also taking other picture along the way, being sure that they update it like on a regularly basis, and we will organize meeting, weekly or monthly meeting, to be sure that everything is fine. I saw it a lot in my teams. When you don't have an updated planning and budget, you will lose your customer. Either they will not answer, you will not follow like everything you set up at the beginning. So yeah, that could be really a struggle if you don't follow it. More than that, we really want to be hands-on. What does it mean? It's really working with our consultants on their project by, for example, taking the project manager role and working directly with the consultant. The idea is to transfer our knowledge and also see how they work on a day-to-day basis and being able to support them on the day-to-day works. Well, and that's an important thing. We will monitor the billability, because Michelle, as any other consultant at the beginning, will have the imposter syndrome. She will not feel legitimate to bill on the customer. So that's our job, to really support her and push her to switch from the learning side to really bill on customer. More than that, it let us also review the workload of the consultant and being sure that she have too much work. Why too much work? Because we think that if she have a bit too much, she will be able to really optimize her work and being more efficient after all. We also build a plan with the consultant and tailor-made different objectives with each different consultant. It's like an architect. You cannot like build a castle if you don't have a plan. So it's like defining smart objective and a strategy to reach it.
Thank you, Pierre. Once again, we're going to have some challenges during this period. The first thing that is important as a manager, potentially a business owner, we need to keep the ball rolling. So we need to make sure that the projects are on track in terms of planning, in terms of budget, as the focus is of course the client satisfaction to be super high. The second thing that is important is to set the right level of pressure on the consultant. The pressure that will allow him to be challenged, to evolve without collapsing. We strongly at Odoo believe into the learn by failing, which means that it's okay to make mistakes, but not to evolve. The third thing, support without saving, which means that we absolutely don't want to get Michelle out of her responsibility. She still have the lead, she's still in charge of the project, but we must be there to support her when needed.
Okay, so let's switch to the third step, the consolidation. So as you can see, it's still the team leader who will be in charge of the consultant, and will be the same for year 2 and yeah, all the way after 1 year. But yeah, I'm a bit worried, Germain. How does Michelle feel at the moment? As she was super stressed, or at least not so good during the step 2.
Indeed, what do you think? Well, don't worry, Pierre. Actually, Michelle is doing well. She's feeling good, at her ease. She is managing 8 projects successfully at a time. The target billable rate is still about 80%. However, she saw a lot of different use cases. She feels legitimate with the client as well, which is important. And finally, she starts to have a positive impact within the team, actually. So not now that everything is on track, I guess the next step would be to become a real digital advisor, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's really the idea. The idea is to really push further and to switch from becoming a super good project leader to a digital advisor. But what does it mean? It means identify key digital opportunities, your customer's business, and being able to become a real business partner for them. Being able to identify the new opportunity, as we say, for example, you can say, okay, we want to push and reach more leads. Okay, we will install applications like marketing application. The goal here is really to go further than just implementing the solution for the current needs, but really thinking, okay, what are the opportunities, or we can push further. The goal here is to have the entrepreneur mindset, thinking as your customer business is your own business. What can you do to grow? That's the idea here. We do it externally and also internally. We want Michelle to be able to think, to really rethink also the way she works and the way her colleagues work, to improve the global company strategy and global vision. For example, some years ago, some colleagues and I identified that we have some inefficiency in our onboarding process. So we think about it and just think, okay, we can maybe create a simulation between a coach and the consultant to simulate the relationship between the customer and the consultant. And guess what? We still do it today. So we really want the consultant to take the ownership of the idea and to push further, to propose new things for the company. But concretely, what does it mean for us as team leader and again manager? It's keep reviewing the objective. We still have to have clear goal defined for each consultant and a strategy to reach it. That's really a key. Of course, we will stay hands-on by being involved on their project and work with them on a day-to-day basis. I think it's really a key, the only way to really identify where it goes well and where we can really improve the job of our consultants. We will also push for extra responsibilities, and we want the consultant to take new responsibilities. For example, helping the newbies, answering the partner question, really pushing further. And also on our side, we can propose new role, being coach or working as an expert within the company to just take other responsibility, doing the extra mile, and just make her evolve and the whole company also.
Indeed, Pierre, and new challenges ahead for manager once again. The first thing, we need to push for initiative. People actually have to understand that the expectation increase over time. Actually, the growth of a company usually comes from individual contribution as well. For example, in our case, it could be a consultant taking part of an online webinar for marketing purpose or to take part to a specific project. The second thing that is a challenge and important is to keep people motivated. It might be normal after some time that people might need an evolution, they might need a new challenge, and we must be the one identifying this and offering them the right opportunity. As Pierre said, it could be a new responsibility, for example, becoming coach. It could be also a diversification of projects. And the third thing that we really would like to highlight is to stay hands-on. We strongly believe at Odoo that it is important to keep our hands dirty, so we jump in projects, we jump in calls as well to show our expertise, to use our expertise and to keep being a role model for the people in our team. So basically what we really want you to keep in mind from this presentation is that growth and empowerment happen when people are out of the comfort zone, when they are challenged. This is actually really what we are trying to do at Odoo by assigning projects and responsibilities from day one and by always expecting more from people. And of course, don't forget the learning process, the learning curve never stops no matter how long you've been in a position. So we hope this talk was useful to potentially speed up the process with your consultant, and feel free to ask if you have any question. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, guys. Can you hear me? Everybody? Yeah? Perfect. All right, so we have a few interesting questions in the chat, and they keep writing, so that's perfect. Who will fix the damage if a new consultant doesn't succeed in their first implementations?
First, we'll try to avoid like having a project failing by supervising, as we said. Like we will be there, like a support net. Be sure that they're well rounded and we can make a project a success. If it's not the case, we will find solution by involving ourselves in the project or finding other consultants who can be involved in this project. So, yeah, we try to first avoid it by really being there for them, and if something happens, we intervene and we will try to solve the issue.
Indeed, but as we said, the goal is not to get the people out of their responsibility. So they
Sure.
will still be in charge, but of course will be available to jump in in the call if necessary.
Okay, thank you. How many projects can one consultant handle after, here they said 3-5 years, but I guess it's like after the first year.
Yeah. So we try to be really involved in our project, so to have at least 2 meetings a week on projects. So it takes a lot of time. It means that we have between 6 and 8 projects for a quick start project, so under 1,000 hours, I mean. So yeah, we try to have 6 to 8. And if we work on really big projects with big corporation, in that case it's more like 2 or 3, but it really depends on the size of the project and the customer business.
Thank you. Okay, there's some interesting questions. What are the red flags that you can sometimes find in a newbie if you're a team leader or a coach?
Mm-hmm. First, if they don't ask questions, so if they really work on isolation, that could be a red flag. Again, if we see that the planning and budgets are not like updated as it should, and if they don't like take really care or like or advice, or that don't take into account or advice about like how to improve their way of working, I think that's the red flag for us. Yeah.
Thank you. Should we expect from you consultants to create new requests for developers, so technical specifications, in terms of new functionalities?
Yeah, sure. From the beginning, like from day one, if they see any inefficiency in the system or something that can be improved, we will ask them to like create tickets and try to improve the product. That's for sure. Yeah.
And this is part of the initiatives we expect from them as well at some point. So it's a positive thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think this is a very good one as well. I think we see if we still have time for a question. Could you share your experience on when you were newbies at Odoo? Of course, there will be a change of mindsets when you make it to manager, but are there any work habits or routines that you still keep on doing today?
That's a good question. So I think the routines, you build it like step by step. You just take some good thing, you see that something is working, and you will just build by your experience. For example, at the beginning, I was not organized at all, and I really had to take all the thing was possible. For example, documentation. Someone explained me, okay, I document my project like this. I took it. Someone else told me, okay, my kickoff, I do it this way, or I just check the video of their kickoff, and I just take each part to build like my experience to be like an experienced consultant, if I can say. But yeah, it's really step-by-step learning, and the best advice is just still open and yeah, take everything you can from the other, because the other is really a big source of knowledge. Now we have more than 200 consultants, so I think there's a lot to take from the other. That's super important to keep going.
Do we still have time for one more question? Last question here. How do you manage knowledge management? Because Odoo is so big and there's so much to learn. How do you manage knowledge at Odoo?
Well, there are different things. As you said, Odoo is so large that no one actually know everything about Odoo, so there are different aspects. First, there is some kind of expertise, so some people are expert of a specific application, specific industry as well, and there are people that are more generalist, and as we said, so it's a positive sign to ask questions, so they should go to the expert potentially to increase their knowledge.
Right. Thank you very much. We couldn't answer every question, but feel free to come to see them at the booth. They will be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you.